How to predict the products of electrolysis. So there are three examples that you need to know: the electrolysis of sulfuric acid, the electrolysis of sodium chloride, and the electrolysis of copper sulfate. And these are all in aqueous solutions. So sulfuric acid in water, sodium chloride dissolved in water, and copper sulfate dissolved in water. In each example, exactly the same equipment is used. So there's a battery, and the battery is connected via wires to two electrodes, and there's a cathode, which is the negative electrode, and there's an anode, which is the positive electrode. And these electrodes, the cathode and the anode, are dipped into the solution, so it will either be sulfuric acid, sodium chloride solution, or copper sulfate solution. And these are electrolytes, because an electrolyte is a substance which contains dissolved ions which conducts electricity. So the electrolyte will either be sulfuric acid, sodium chloride, or copper sulfate. In every electrolysis of an aqueous solution, there's water, and water splits into H plus and OH minus. So all of the examples are going to have H plus and OH minus, and these come from the water that's there that forms the aqueous solution. So in the electrolysis of sulfuric acid's formula is H2SO4. So there are two hydrogens and one sulfate SO42 minus. And when sulfuric acid is put into water, it splits into the two H pluses and the SO42 minus. So when electricity is applied, the positively charged H plus ions are attracted to the cathode because the cathode is negatively charged. And the negatively charged OH minus is attracted to the anode, which is positively charged. At the cathode, the H plus ions gain electrons and hydrogen gas is made. So 2H plus, these H plus ions here, gain electrons and form H2. So what you would see is bubbles of hydrogen gas given off. At the anode, the hydroxide ions, these ones, lose electrons and oxygen is made. And the equation for this is 4OH minus goes to O2 plus 2H2O plus 4E minus. And so at the anode, you would see bubbles of oxygen gas given off. In the electrolysis of sodium chloride, NaCl, we have Na plus ions and Cl minus ions, and we also have H plus ions and OH minus ions which come from the water. So at the cathode, the H plus ions gain electrons and hydrogen gas is made. And the equation, as before, is 2H plus 2E minus goes to H2, and we see the hydrogen gas given off. At the anode, the Cl minus ions lose electrons and chlorine gas is made. And the equation for that is 2Cl minus goes to Cl2 plus 2 electrons. And you'd see yellow-green chlorine gas given off. Because the H plus turns into H2 gas and the Cl minus goes to Cl2 gas, sodium hydroxide, NaOH, is left in the solution. So there are three products from the electrolysis of sodium chloride. There's hydrogen, chlorine, and sodium hydroxide. In the electrolysis of copper sulfate solution, we have H plus and OH minus because there's water present, but we also have Cu2 plus and SO42 minus. At the cathode, the negatively charged electrode, the Cu2 plus is attracted to the cathode, and the Cu2 plus gains 2 electrons and becomes copper metal. And the equation for that is Cu2 plus plus 2E minus go to Cu. At the anode, hydroxide ions lose electrons and oxygen is made, and the equation for this is the same as the equation before, which is 4OH minus goes to O2 plus 2H2O plus 4E minus. And the hydroxide ions are negatively charged, so they're attracted towards the anode, which is the positively charged electrode. So this is a summary table of what the solution is and what we get at the cathode for each solution and what we get at the anode for each solution. And the equations are present there too.